So the first thing that we're going to do is make sure we're in the correct mode. So it's been a while since we've used the calculator. Mode is right here next to second. You're going to hit mode, and you need to make sure you are in degrees, which is right here. So mine is not in degrees. I'm going to come down here and hit enter on degree. It's not a bad idea to just check that every time you get your calculator. We'll just go ahead and close that. Just check that every time you get a calculator to make sure you're in there. Otherwise, all your answers will be wrong. Okay. Are we all in degree mode? Perfect. Okay. And some of them might have already been, but if it's not, it's just not a bad idea to check. These are all going to be, well, I guess there's one in here that's not a right triangle, but on the front here, these are all going to be right triangles. So draw a picture, show what you're going to type in your calculator. That's like your work. And we're going to do 3 decimal points. So go ahead and draw yourself a right triangle. Do you guys remember how the angles are capital letters and then the sides are lowercase letters and they're across from each other? Okay. It really doesn't matter where A and B go, but C has to be the right angle because when you do Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared, bless you, little c has to be the hypotenuse. So that has to go there. Really doesn't matter where the other two go. I'm just going to put A here and B here. Pick your preference. It really doesn't matter. Okay. So little a is 4. That's going to go across from big A. So 4 goes right there. Little b is 9. That goes across from big B. That's going to go right here. And the directions say, find the missing angles. So let's find angle A first. Watch me point to it because this is a very visual thing. Remember triangles and stuff. This is your point of view. That means 4 is the what? Good. Opposite. 9 is the... Which trig function involves tangent? Good. So it's going to be tangent of A equals 4 over 9. The reason that this falls in this unit where we're doing inverse trig is how do you undo tangent? Well, it's tangent inverse. How do you do tangent inverse on your calculator? Second tangent. And see how it puts the little tangent inverse with the -1 in there? Do 4 divide by 9. Hit enter. That's your answer. Yay. All right, so angle A is 23.962 degrees. Now we'll show you a trick to get B so that you don't have to do any more work. What do all, or did we get that? Oh, okay. What do all the angles have to add up to? 180. If this one is 90, that means these two have to add together to be 90. Now watch. If you have this just sitting in your calculator, just hit -90 and then don't put the negative in your answer. So just hit -90 and just don't put the negative in your answer. So 66.037 degrees. No. C is 90. Yeah, that's a good question. You don't have to write C equals 90. It's just, that's a writing. All right, let's try it again. Draw yourself a right triangle. C is the right angle. It really doesn't matter where the other two go. I'm just going to put A down here and B up there. So little b is 5.3. That goes across from big B. Little c is 12.9. That's the hypotenuse. You will have to actually stop talking over me at some point here. So we're going to do A first. I guess it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to do A first. If this is your point of view, 5.3 is the what? Adjacent. Good. There we got there. And 12.9 is the... Okay, which trig function is adjacent and hypotenuse? Cosine. So it's cosine of A equals 5.3 over 12.9. Right. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is your like work that you have to set up. You have to write down what you're typing in the calculator for me. Yeah. So how are we going to type that, guys? Cosine inverse. So second cosine. Yeah, 5.3 divided by 12.9, close the parenthesis. That'll give you your answer. Write it down to 3 decimal points and just don't clear that off the screen. Just leave it there to save yourself some work. How can you get B? Just do minus 90 and then don't put the negative with it. Because you already have that answer sitting there. You don't want to have to like recopy it. Just hit minus 90 and it'll give you the other one. Just don't put the negative. I don't hear any complaining, but if you have a question about your calculator, you got to ask me because I can't see all your calculator screens and I don't know, like my telepathy is broken. You're going to have to be vocal about it if you like are having a problem. Okay, so I'm going to assume we all got this. Now, these other ones are all the story problems. A child is flying a kite on a string 17 meters long. So which side of the triangle is going to be the 17 meters? The hypotenuse. Because the kid's down here holding the string of the kite. And so that's the part that's 17 meters. The kite is 10 meters up in the air. So which part's the 10? Yeah, like the left, like the vertical part, the left side. 10 meters, yeah, like the y-axis, the 10 meters up in the end. What is the angle of elevation? So here's what we're looking for. I'm just going to call it X. You can call it whatever letter of the alphabet you want, really. And so why is it sine? I hear you guys saying it already. Hypotenuse. Good. So it's sine of X equals 10 over 17. No, don't get all excited because this is easy. Stick with me because there's not that many problems on here and I want to make sure we can do them all. So go ahead and type that in. It'll be second sine 10 over 17. Now, you know how with story problems, you need units, like your feet or your meters or your seconds or your hours or whatever. What are your units for these? Degrees. So I know it is a tiny, tiny, tiny little thing, but if you leave off that degree symbol, listen, you have left off your units and I have to take off for that. What some people do to like, it just makes them feel better, like they actually put something there, is that they'll write degrees like as a word. You can do that too, but one or the other. I either need that little symbol or the word degrees because that's your units. So you can't leave that off. Okay. All right, let's try another one. A plane is flying 20,000 feet up in the air. So which part of the triangle is the 20,000? Yeah, like the y-axis part or the vertical part. Now it says the horizontal distance from the airport to the plane. So horizontal, that's like your x-axis. That's the 5,000 feet. That's going to go down there. Listen. Whether it says angle of elevation or angle of depression, it doesn't actually matter because do you remember how the sky and the ground, in theory, I know the earth is round, but you know how in theory they're parallel? They're the same. It's alternate interior. So no matter what, your variable is going to go down there. The angle of depression and the angle of elevation are the same thing. I guess if you want to dot this in and put X there, you can, but I kind of recommend against it because it ends up just confusing everybody. All right, so is this sine, cosine, or tangent? Good. Tangent of X equals 20,000 over 5,000. Go ahead and slam that in your calculator. It's second tangent, 20,000 over 5,000. I'm not hearing complaining. Can I get confirmation that someone else got the same thing as me though? Yeah. Like heads nodding. Okay, cool. All right, go ahead and flip over. Well, you know, repetition. All right, a hot air balloon is tied to a stake in the ground. The rope is 150 feet long. So where does the 150 go? It's the rope holding it. So it's the hypotenuse. Your 150 feet is going to go there. It's like this kite string. It's like that. I can't draw a picture, but like the hot air balloon is up here. This is the string tying it to the ground. Because it's not going to be right above, like, so it doesn't get away. All right, the horizontal distance, that's going to be this down here, is 23 yards. Does anyone notice an issue here? This is feet. Okay, you have to multiply 23 by 3 because there's 3 feet in a yard. So 23 times 3. So that's going to go down here. Now, could you also have taken 150 and divided by 3 and changed them both to yards? Yes, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that would make the number smaller. But you have a calculator, so it doesn't really matter. All right, and then we want the angle of elevation. Sine, cosine, or tangent? Cosine, good. Cosine x equals 69 over 150. And then put that in your calculator. So you can take the yards and multiply them by 3, or you can take the feet and divide them by 3. It doesn't make a difference. But they have to be the same. But what are the units for your answer still, no matter what? Degrees. So no matter what, this is still going to be degrees. So 62.612 degrees is what I got. Okay, thank you for confirmation. I like confirmation because guess what? I'm a human being. I make mistakes too. And if you button push one button wrong, the whole thing's wrong. So I like to know you guys got the same thing as me. All right, a boat is being pulled in to a dock. The winch is like the thing that pulls it in, like the, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a sailor, but anyway, the thing that's pulling it in. It's located on the dock 10 feet above the water. So if this is the water down here, the 10 is the vertical part. We want the angle of elevation, like usual. 26 feet of rope. So where is the 26 gonna go? The hypotenuse, good, because that's the amount of rope. And then is it sine, cosine, or tangent? Sine. Sine of x equals 10 over 26, and you'll just put that in your calculator. This last one won't be a right triangle. I wanted to do one that wasn't. Okay? You're going to be okay. Or did anyone get 22.6 on it? Yeah. I love that you're all really awake, but can we focus back together for this last problem here? Then the rest of the time will be yours to work, okay? A hiker looks up to the top of a mountain with an angle of elevation of 33 degrees. I'm not going to draw the whole triangle yet. But here's your 33 degrees. He's standing here looking up to the top of the mountain. So far, that's what we've got. This person, yeah, good start. I like it. This person hikes 15 miles up, presumably then makes camp. After you did 15 miles, you're probably not going to keep going. Now he's going to go 17 miles down the other side. Mountains aren't perfectly symmetrical. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not, God didn't make them all like, wouldn't that be weird though if they were though? Like if every mountain was perfectly symmetric. Anyway, now that's what my brain does. So anyway, then we can kind of like finish off the triangle here. So it's not a right triangle. So 15 miles up, 17 miles down the other side. What is the angle of the peak of the mountain? So this is what we're looking for. As a heads up, we're going to need to find this angle first, and then they all should add up to 1/8. This is kind of a two-part problem. Now, because we can't use sine, cosine, tangent, because it's not a right triangle, what was the other rule that we had? Like they go across from each other? Do you remember what it's called, though? It is the law of sines. Okay, so it's going to be 17 over sine of 33. So 17 over sine of 33 equals 15 over sine of, we have to call this one something. Can I just call it y? Is that okay with everybody? You have to name it, so call it something. So 15 over sine of y. Let's remember how to type this and look, because I'm going to show you how to do it. If you want the angle, we need to collectively focus. There's just been chitter chatter, and it bothers me. So I know it bothers everybody else. I have to be able to hear myself think, so knock it off. If you want the angle, you have to hit second sign. And then it's cross, multiply, and divide. So you hit second sign first, and then you're going to do 15 sine of 33, divide by 17. 15 sine 33, divide 17. Did anyone else get 28.722? Okay. I'm going to need to store that because I need to reuse it. Do you remember how to store? Here's your store button. It's store alpha A, enter. Or whatever letter of the alphabet you want to use, but I just always use A, B, and C. Store alpha A, enter. Do you remember me saying that as gazillion times? Store alpha A, enter, store alpha A, enter. Okay, so I'm going to clear all that out. How do I get the answer that I want? Like the peak top up there. Like, well, 180 and then minus what? That and the other thing. Eloquent. All right, minus 33 minus alpha A. And that'll give you the one that's left at the top. You're going to hit second sign. So sine inverse, and then cross, multiply, and divide. So 15 sine of 33, divide by 17.